Hi family, I welcome you to this episode of Jenny Box. Today we're going to be talking about the Moors and the influence they had in Europe. Well, it's common knowledge that the Moors happen to come from Africa, right? Black Africa. But I've come across certain books and certain articles online, depicting them to be the white Arabs that are like those in the North Africa right now. But the truth is that it's not the case, right? The Moors are as black as coal, in Africa or in Ghana, we say the way the pot under the pot is dark. That's how come. I mean, that's how the Moors are. You get me? So, and also, there's no dispute about the fact that the Moors were Muslims, right? Yeah, it's true. The Moors were actually Muslims, but not the entirety of them, right? But we could say that 90% to 95% of the Moors were Muslims, right? It's not just the Europeans that distort history. The Arabs have distorted history as well in regards to the black companions of the Islamic prophet, right? And also they don't highlight some of the, you know, the the black heroes regarding the Islamic religion, but they highlight just one or two who happen to be slaves and all that, which makes no sense to me. You understand? But that's not the main topic here. So let's just put that aside and then continue. The Moors went into Spain and conquered Spain in 711, right? And they ruled Spain for 800 years until Ferdinand and Isabella came together as one superpower and then overthrew um, the Moorish Empire in 1492 AD. Yeah, so the Moors built 17 universities in Spain, right? And through which the the idea of commencement of graduates were brought. Let's say the fact that graduates put on gowns and caps, during their graduation to celebrate their completion of a particular course. This idea was brought in by the Moors, and you could see that it's done every part of the world now. You understand? This idea was brought in by the Moors into Spain. The Moors also brought into Spain, sugar cane, berries, nuts, watermelon, ginger, name them. A whole lot of crops and fruits, were introduced into Europe by the Moors. The postal service, right? The act of, posting a message to somebody or posting something to, you know how it works, right? So this postal service was also brought in by the Moors, when they got into Spain. You understand? And then they also created a hospital system, like the way the hospital works, like, keeping someone who is sick into a particular place and being cared for by doctors and coming to visit this person, from time to time. This whole idea or concept were brought in by the Moors into Europe. The Moors also brought in something called the perfume air conditioning, right? This is actually my favorite. This is by way of bringing in the air, across a flower to the room. You understand? So an example is like, putting a flower close to the window. So when the wind blows, it blows with the smell of the flower into the room. Can you imagine that? Isn't this beautiful? Like, come on. The Moors are a very important part of our history that we really need to look at. Yeah, the Moors created the most modern city in the world at the time in Cordova, right? They had the streets well paved and they raised a sidewalk for pedestrians to pass on, and 100 meters, 100 miles on the street has been illuminated by lamps all over. You understand? This is hundreds of years before Paris had, their streets paved, and then before the streets of London had lamps. Can you imagine? This is just awesome. In Cordova, the Moors built 900 public baths, right? So that people could be bathing all the time, because when they got into Spain initially, the people who lived there did not bath. They didn't even know what soap was, right? Soap was one of the things that the Moors brought into Europe. You get me? So in so doing, the 900 baths served as an easy way of making people living in Spain or living in Europe then be able to bath. You understand? Yeah. So history also tells us that even a poor Moor would rather have soap than bread. You get me? This is to tell you how hygienic these people were. Prior to the Moors coming into Europe, Europe did not know the existence of lions, alligators, or even horses. You understand? The horses or the alligators or lions were introduced by the Moors to the Europeans. You understand? For example, an ostrich, for instance, also is not found any part of the world except in Africa. So even if you see an ostrich somewhere, just have it in mind that it was stolen from Africa at one point. You understand? That being said, majority of the European countries' coat of arms have lions on them. You understand? This is to say that it's a Moorish influence. Yeah. It's your boy Jinkor, and this is Jenny Box. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe and then share it to your family members and friends as well. Stay safe. Peace out. I love you guys.